Welcome back to World Crisis Radio. Webster Tarpley here in Washington, D.C. And because of the Iceland referendum tomorrow, Saturday, March 6th, we're a little bit behind our time, but we still want to go to Philadelphia and Phil Berg, the distinguished leader of the pro-Constitution movement, to force Obama to show that he's actually qualified to be president in terms of natural-born citizen. Phil, welcome.
My pleasure. How you doing
We're
today?
just talking to Reykjavik, so we're a little bit behind our time. But what's going on your sector of the front?
Well, we announced we don't have a firm date yet. We're working on it. We're going to have a birth certificate eligibility march on Washington, probably late May, early June, and we're getting an initial fabulous response from all around the country. I have people telling me they're going to come in from Arizona, from Michigan, from Florida, and California. So that's a good start already without having a firm date. People are excited about it. It's something positive they can do. We're having what's called the peaceful revolution. We want no trouble at all. Some people on the Internet are trying to tie us to trouble. We've always been no trouble. We just want the truth. Our position is, from the beginning, if Obama can show us he's legit, we go away. But he can't show it. He hasn't shown it. But more significant than the birth certificate issue is the issue of Indonesia. Indonesia, for your listeners there, I said it before, but I'll say it again, is significant because Obama even mentions it. See, he's bound by certain things. First off, in one of his books, he mentions that he found his birth certificate. So he knows where he's from. And he knows he's not from Hawaii, because if he was from Hawaii, we would have seen that documentation already. But he keeps putting forth things about, people keep talking, oh, he showed his birth certificate. Well, he didn't. He showed a COLB, which is a certification of live birth. Our experts have shown that it's invalid. And what's not on a birth certificate, what's on a birth certificate that's not on a COLB, which makes it real significant, is the fact the baby's length, the baby's weight, the hospital name, the doctor's name, and the doctor's signature. So we know that Obama is a phony regarding the birth certificate issue. But let's take the next thing. In his book, he states, because his parents had divorced, my stepfather, Lolo Sotoro, returned to Indonesia before my mother and I. So he acknowledges he's got a stepfather. Well, in Indonesia, the only ones who could go to school in the 1960s were those that were natural of Indonesia. Now, we know he wasn't born there, but you also became natural if you were adopted or acknowledged by your stepfather. We have a school record which indicates his name is Barry Sotoro. Nationality is Indonesia, and his religion is Islam. So that's out there. Actually, we were putting a half page out today, and it came out this past Monday in the Washington Times national issue, and we're getting a positive response, and there's no refuting that fact. The point is, if he hasn't legally changed his name, and remember, we've known nothing about Obama. He hasn't legally changed his name. His name is his adopted name of Barry Sotoro. So he committed fraud in each of the 50 states when he signed to run for office. He's committed fraud since then using the name Barack Obama. You can't use that. Also, if he had gone through immigration, he would only be naturalized, which would mean that he couldn't be president. So if he has those records, that's why he hasn't shown that. But we believe at age 10 he went back to from Indonesia to Hawaii on his Indonesia passport, not going through U.S. immigration as far as being a citizen. Therefore, he's an illegal alien, and that's one of the cases we have pending in the United States Court of Appeals for the District of Columbia Circuit. We just filed our brief in the past couple of weeks, and we believe that's the real issue because we also raised the issue of conflict of interest. If the following situation is not a conflict of interest, I don't know what is. We allege that because the decision on a qui tam or false claim act case is made by the Attorney General's office and the Department of Justice, both of which comes under the Attorney General. Well, Eric Holder is the Attorney General. Eric Holder was on Obama's campaign staff, senior member of his campaign staff. He was one of 3 individuals selected by Obama to select the vice president, who ended up selecting Joe Biden. And number 3, he was nominated, appointed, and confirmed for Attorney General, which is the highest law enforcement officer in the country, who reports directly to the president, Therefore, if that's not a conflict of interest, we might as well take that word out of our dictionary.
Right.
We're hopeful that the Court of Appeals will do something. If not, we're ready to take that case to the Supreme Court, because the D.C. Circuit Court of Appeals says that the judges shall have no input on the case. And that's why after I made my presentation in court, the judge turned to the Department of Justice, turned to the Attorney General's office and said, what do you want to do? They said, we want to dismiss the case. That's different than the Ninth Circuit, which is in California, which says that judges shall have input. And I raised that question, but the judge didn't answer that one either. But why would a statute provide for a hearing before a federal judge without the judge have input? I mean, if not the judge, they should say a jury should have input, but here there's no input. It doesn't make any sense. But we're getting ready for the march. We're asking people, when they go to my website, which is obamacrimes.com, to fax us, email us, mail us a copy of their birth certificate. We're compiling them. We've got a great response so far. And then we're hoping that when people come to our march in Washington, the people to bring a copy of their birth certificate. Can you imagine 1 million people on Signal raising the birth certificate over their head and say, here's our birth certificate, Obama, where's yours? Show it or resign from office. And I think at that point, Webster, not only you and the other good people who have supported us over the years, but I think at that point the national media will have to cover us because the American people are not going to stand for this. And we see that now with what's going on with the Tea Parties, with this national health thing. Obama's trying to shove it down everyone's throat, and it doesn't look like he's going to make it, and I'm hopeful not. But our goal is not on the issues. Our goal is to show that he's a usurper, he's a phony from the beginning, he's a fraud. When I'm talking Obama's a phony, Obama's a fraud. Obama has put forth the biggest hoax in the United States of America in over 230 years. He and everyone around him should be tried in their criminal justice system. Those convicted should go to jail. And I think, Webster, that's where we're going to get a break. As the pressure gets heavier and heavier, and I believe it really is on Obama, somebody's going to sing. Someone around him is going to be the deep throat of Obama. We had the deep throat of Watergate. And remember in Watergate, everyone, Nixon didn't go out of office, didn't resign because of the break-in. He resigned because of the cover-up. We now have Obama 13 months in office, cover-up. So we can equate that. So I think, when the American public realizes this guy's a phony, we are going to work together. So everyone, please go to obamacrimes.com. Send it to everyone in your address book. Ask them to get ready for our birth certificate eligibility march in Washington. And also, if you can, send us a contribution.
Great, Phil. We'll see you next week. Hang in there.
I will.
We'll be
Thank
back
you.
in a minute.